David Otto. He's the director at the Geneva Centre for Africa Studies, Africa Security and Strategic Studies. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on the program. Reports now that the main opposition leader, Yaya Dillo, is dead. How worried are you about what's going on in the country?
This is possibly a potential scenario that may lead to further violence. Yaya Dillo was deemed to be one of the strongest opposition to Mahatma Idris Deby. Of course, they are known as cousins. Many have described this as a family feud, similar to what potentially or has been said to have occurred with the death of the Idris Deby Sr. himself, whom Mahatma Gandhi took power unconstitutionally. So I think, the stakes are very high. Particularly because, of course, the postponement of the elections had been moved from 18 months to 2 years. And it does seem very strongly to many that Idris Deby will not run as some kind of a Democrat, exchanging his military regalia to one that, may seem as a civilian position. So it comes at a very critical time, I have to add, within the central bit of course, in West Africa, because, Chad shares very close borders with countries like Niger, of course, Nigeria, who are members of ECOWAS. Chad is a member of ECA. So it's a very critical time, one which many are now worried that, the democratic process might be skewed towards Idris Deby, who has now potentially taken out his rival.
So what do you think? I mean, what will this mean for these upcoming elections?
Well, critically, effectively, it means that, Idris Deby Jr., Mahamat, who is a general, will now run on his own. His cousin was seen as, a very strong opposition, one of the key persons that could have challenged him. From an outside point of view, this means the democratic process might not go smoothly. Internally, many understand this is more or less a family affair. Whether it is Idris Deby Mahamat who took power or it was his cousin, it made no difference, to many who see this as some kind of a struggle between the Zagawa ethnic group, which they both belong to.
So you're calling this a family affair, but I mean, how is it affecting the people of Chad?
Of course, I mean, the people of Chad would be asking the question as to how is democracy going to be expressed? The question now is, who is going to take over from the man who's been accused of carrying out an attack, against the National Agency of State Security, the equivalent of the intelligence agency. I mean, to which he denied that he was involved in that. So I think the question now a lot of Chadians will be asking is how is the democratic process going to be fair now that the main opposition rival has effectively been killed. So it's not just a question, for stability within the people of Chad, but it's also a regional concern. And this is one of France's last bastion. France has supported Mahatma Idris Deby very strongly. The French president was one of the few presidents if not the only Western president to visit him when he was inaugurated, despite many calling for him to step down, after taking power unconstitutionally.
David Otto, thank you so much for your insights and analysis here on the News Hour.